Hannah. Welcome to the Crafty Chat podcast. This is the first Crafty Chat podcast. If you aren't new to my channel, as I'm sure many of you are not, you might be a little confused. In my last Crafty Chat, which just used to be a once a month video where you just used to sit and chat and craft and drink tea, as I am now, and I will be crafting in a second. They used to happen once a month. It used to be the last Thursday of the month, and I just used to sit and chat and craft and just tell you about my life and catch everyone up on what's going on. But I discussed a while ago actually that I kind of was fancying doing a podcast. Then the more knitting podcasts I watched, the more I wanted to get involved. So if you are new to my channel and to the podcast, hello, my name is Hannah, as I've just said. I am living in Frankfurt, but I'm from Britain. It is a nice chilly drizzly morning on the 10th of November. But yes, if you are new to watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are old at watching, that sounds very rude. If you've watched before, thanks for coming back, and thanks for coming back to my videos. Don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying it, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the fortnightly podcast that I post, as well as the craft tutorials I post in between. And I'm currently working on a pair of socks, but I'll get to that, well, momentarily. So a little bit about me, because I thought I may as well fill you in now. Links to all of my social media can be found in the description box below. I am the corner of craft pretty much everywhere. And I've actually set up a Crafty Chat Ravelry group where we can sit and chat and mingle there and get to know each other a bit more. Link to that is also in the description box. Basically, anything I mention will be in the description box just down there. So feel free to check that out. Also, I have a cold, so I'm sorry if I keep sniffling my nose. So I've been crocheting. So this is a knitting and crochet podcast, and sometimes I might bring in a little bit of beadwork, but it does depend on what I've been up to. But I was taught to knit by my mum from a very young age, and then I kind of didn't stick at it, and then I taught myself to knit. No, I taught myself to crochet, even though my mum had previously taught me to crochet. I'd completely forgotten, so I retaught myself off YouTube a good few years ago now, around 10 years ago, I think. So I've been crocheting for a very long time. I am new to knitting. This jumper isn't handmade, but the goal is to one day be able to knit something as ace as this. So I picked up knitting more full-time about this time last year, where I made the hitchhiker scarf, which was a success, and I much enjoyed it, and I'm really sorry that I'm ill. My voice sounds terrible, but anyway, I'm just gonna get on with it. So that was just a little bit about me. If I'm looking down here a lot, it's because I've actually written out notes, which I'm quite proud of, in this amazing notebook that I got when I was last visiting Nottingham, in one of their new shops that they have in Victoria Centre, because I used to live in Nottingham. First section is whips and hose, which just sounds so rude, but it isn't. So, for those who don't know, oh, there's deodorant in the background, how attractive. There we go. Oh, there's still deodorant in the background. Sorry, this is when my boyfriend gets ready in the morning in the living room. Awkward. Anyway, I hadn't noticed that. For those who don't know, I'm a bit of a nerd and I play Dungeons and Dragons, which, by the way, I've just discovered someone on Instagram who dyes yarn inspired by Dungeons and Dragons spells, which I think is awesome. Her business name is Critical Knits, and I was this close to buying it, and then shipping was extortionate because she's based in the US, so I need to find some way of, you know, shipping for a bit cheaper. But I might look now after yesterday's election results, but I will not go into that here because I'm not from the US, therefore I can't have a say. So, I make dice bags, and I've made them for everyone in my D&D group, and one of the people in my D&D group leads, which is Dungeons and Dragons, leads a Dungeons and Dragons group for children at the school that he teaches at. So he has requested 8 dice bags, which I've written up here. Oh, ignore this bit, that was just for my sock I was working on. 8 dice bags that I need to make, and they're all Christmas presents for these people. So I've ordered the charms, they're on their way, and I've made 2 dice bags so far, both in black, nice and exciting. They will have a little pull through, but they're not finished, which is why they're a work in progress, even though they're like solid objects. But I have 6 more to make. I'm running out of black yarn, so I might have to go and get some more, because who runs out of black yarn? I'm just using just black acrylic yarn. I think mostly black acrylic yarn that I have is Stylecraft. But obviously if I go buy more, I won't be able to buy Stylecraft because they don't sell it in Germany. But, well, they might do somewhere, but not in the shop that I would get my yarn from. But it's just, yeah, Stylecraft double knit yarn, my own pattern, which I might write up at some point, but I'm not entirely sure. Or I might make a tutorial for, but I'm holding off because I do sell these in my Etsy shop, or I do try to sell these in my Etsy shop. So yeah. The other thing I am working on, because I'm very monogamous with my project, so that's possibly quite boring for you, but I have Christmas presents I'm working on. First off, I've finally learnt how to properly sew in the ends of a project, which is quite exciting. But I made my boyfriend, whose name is Mario, I made him a pair of socks. Well, half a pair of socks. This is half a sock. And he's got really long feet. He's a UK size 9, I think, 9 or 10. Which is a ridiculous size of foot. The yarn I'm using is actually really cheap yarn because my boyfriend's really good at losing things, so I don't want to treat him to expensive yarn until he has learnt how to take care of them, because these are going to end up in the washing machine at some point, and he's going to say, but Hannah, you're the person that needs to wash these. Well, just like... So it's this super cheap wool, so heel cuffs and toes are from this. Super cheap wool that I got in Aldi last year, because in Germany they sell sock yarn in Aldi. It's by Vendita, and this one's colour 1. It's just cream. It's 75% wool, or 75% virgin wool, and 25% polyamide. And then the rest of it, I suppose I should have got the other ball, but I just didn't, is this fun colour, which is colour 8. Once again by Vendita. But there were $5.99 for 4 balls of yarn. And you got some 2.5mm DPNs with them, which is quite exciting. But like I say, it is cheap yarn, it's quite scratchy, it's not as soft as expensive yarn, but he won't feel bad if he felts or ruins these in any way, you know? I don't know why I should fork out many monies. Oh, words. I don't know why I should fork out quite a lot of money on socks that are potentially just going to get felted. So yes, I need to finish the other one of these. I finished this yesterday. I cast on the other one yesterday. I am only this far through it. But I really want a new pair of double pointed needles. I don't know what ones to go for. Let me adjust this focus. There we go. I don't know what ones to go for, just because these are really cheap, so I can't imagine they're that great. And I really want to give Magic Loop a whirl as well. I just don't know why I'm intimidated by it, I'll be honest. And tea break. So the other thing that is going to be a long-term work in progress. So because I'm knitting more socks, I have more sock yarn left over. So I've decided to hop on a bandwagon and start a Cozy Memories blanket. So this pattern is by Kemper from the Junk Yarn podcast, and also Junk Yarns, She Dyes Yarn, on Ravelry. Links to all of these patterns can be found in the description box. I did forget to say that the pattern that I used for these socks is just a plain vanilla sock, but the pattern that I used is Vine Yarn's favourite socks, which is this one. I printed it out. It's a free pattern, because I'm cheap. I'm not cheap. I will pay for patterns. But it is a free pattern, and she goes through everything and explains everything, and I only had to YouTube how to do a couple of things, like how do I pick up stitches and that kind of thing. But it's a really good pattern if you've never knitted a sock before. I've made notes, I've written these notes, and then I'm not looking at these notes. But yes, so I started this Cozy Memories blanket. But now, because looking at other people's, I prefer how other people have done theirs, because the line down the middle is more prominent, because you can barely see. I suppose you can on some of them. It is quite nice. I do quite like it still. So this yarn is a yarn that I made my hitchhiker scarf out of. This yarn is the yarn that I made my sockhead hat out of. This was my first pair of socks. This was my other half of a pair of socks. Like, I have a hoe I mentioned in my last one, and I haven't made the other sock yet. This was another pair of socks, and then this is socks that Mario is having for Christmas. That isn't a surprise. This is another really easy pattern to do, and I'm tempted to make a video on it. I might message and ask if I can make a video on it. It is a free pattern. A lot of people are doing it. The pattern itself is super easy. The only thing I had to look up was how to cast on with 2 needles down the edge, and how do I attach them all together. But I've seen different techniques of people attaching them together, and it just seems better that way. But this seems quite secure, so I'm not going to complain. But I am a fan. I need to get some different colours involved though, because it's all looking a bit miserable. There's a lot of greys and a lot of dark blues and a lot of dark colours, so I need to get like BAM colours in. And I started to make some mini skeins. Oh, my voice. I started to make some mini skeins for if I ever want to do a mini skein swap at some point. And they've even got tags on saying what yarn it is. So that's exciting. But yes, that is a massive long-term project, and as and when I have scraps of yarn left, I'll put them in. So that's exciting. Let's pop that over there. I'm not going to be able to knit much in this crafty chat, am I? Okay, so that's all the things that I am currently working on. Now we're on to finished things. I need to come up with like really catchy names for these segments, but I'm ill. My brain isn't working properly. I've been like in a jumper and with a scarf wrapped around me like this for the past few days. Feeling a bit sorry for myself. Okay, first off is a Christmas present for my sister. So Charlotte, if you are watching, please skip ahead to the timestamp that I put on the screen, because I don't want to ruin the surprise for you. But I also want to show these because I am kind of proud of them. So hopefully you've clicked forward. I'm trusting you. Good. So these socks, because I'm making socks for everyone for Christmas. These socks are socks that I made for my sister from that square that I just showed on the blanket. Once again, contrasting heel cuffs and toes. That is also from the heel cuffs and toes are from a cheap yarn from Aldi as well. I brought the tag over. I don't know if I misplaced it. I write it here. Yes. No, I didn't. I'll find it when I'm finished. I'll tell you what yarns and such I used in the description box. This is once again Willem Vine's favourite sock pattern. But the body of the sock is Regia. Let's get my German pronunciation on. My Regia Design Line Random Stripe by Kaffa Facet. And this is in the colour 02903, which is super catchy. 25% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. I've still got a ball left of it, which is kind of annoying because I didn't realise that I still have a ball left of it because I didn't realise that I apparently can get 2 socks with contrasting heel cuffs and toes out of one ball of yarn, 150 gram ball of yarn. So that's super exciting. But if I hadn't have got the other ball, I wouldn't have been able to add a square. So hopefully she'll like them. They're quite subtly coloured. They look quite obvious in this light because it's blown out quite a lot, but it's not as obvious as that IRL. And yeah, I didn't sew in the ends properly on this. So there are some segments where you can see the yarn poking through from the other side because I obviously sewed it in on the wrong side, but like here. But she won't notice and she'll appreciate it because that's what you do with handmade gifts. You notice the mistakes, but you don't say anything because you still love and appreciate them. But now I know how to properly sew in ends, so no one else will have that problem. Should have googled it ages ago. Sewing at ends is one of those things that everyone assumes you know how to do, but I don't know if everyone does know how to do it, you know. So the other finished object that I have, I am racing through this, is this little lady. So it's Christmas, almost. It's not yet Christmas. I mean, the Christmas market hasn't even made it here in Frankfurt yet, but it's almost Christmas. And last year I made an elf on a shelf for my mum, and my cousin commented on the picture and said, hey, any chance you could visit me next year at school? And I said, I'll see what Santa can do. Santa made another elf on a shelf. So this is the elf on the shelf pattern by Sydney Duenas. Once again, this is all made out of Stylecraft Acrylic Yarn, just because I have it all in my stash. I followed the pattern exactly, pretty much. I added a little pom-pom on the hat, because I thought, why not? I added a little face, because the original pattern only calls for eyes, but I added a little face. I put wire. The pattern calls for magnets in the arms and legs, and I was just like, So I got some of my jewellery making wire and put that in. If you make this and you put wire in the ends, if you're using like proper wire, not pipe cleaners, because I did that last year, that also works, but you need to roll the end so it doesn't poke through and jab anyone, because that would be terrible. So I just rolled the end back on itself for the arms and the legs. The other adjustment that I made is on the feet. The original pattern doesn't call for her having shoes, or him. It doesn't call for them having shoes. So I followed the technique for that. This is once again a free pattern. I followed the technique for the hands, where you do a few rows of cream and then you do some half double crochet or half trebles if you're British, and then you crochet through the back loop. But I did that on the foot, but I think I did 6 rows. I did 6 rows of black and then 1 row of half trebles, and then crochet through the back loop and then changing colour and then carried on the legs, because I just thought she needed some boots. And I discovered when I made this unicorn here that I really hate attaching hair. Like, I hate attaching hair. It takes ages, it's a massive faff. But the good thing about this little lady is she's wearing a hat. So I didn't attach as much hair as I potentially had to. And I used 4-ply to attach the hair, which was 100% my problem. I should have used double knit, but that doesn't matter. But she's so cute. And she's really posable. Oh, no, not me. She's so cute and really posable, and I love her hair. I wish I knew how to curl hair, because I think she'd look really cute with like tight curls, you know, like natural hair, but I don't know how to do that yet. She's got a little ruffle, and yeah, so I need to package her up and send her to the UK to my cousin, who will hopefully pop her in her classroom. My cousin is a teacher, and she teaches 5-year-olds, 4-5-year-olds. So I think that would be perfect. And they don't take that long to make. I think that took me 2 evenings, which isn't bad. But she's so cute. I can't get over her little face. Oh, and now my sister's requested one, so I'm gonna have to make another one of them. I have 2 more unicorns to make. Ugh, Christmas presents. Okay. So now we are into fattening up my stash, which is basically yarn I have bought, which I shouldn't have bought, but I bought it because. So on Saturday, I went to Creativfeld Messe, is that what it's called? I'll talk more about it in a bit. But I went to, I just found the label for the yarn for the heel, cuffs and toes. It was colour 205. Thanks, brain. Creativfeld. And this is a little crocheted. Yeah, it's a little crocheted brain, which is pretty funny. I liked it. They had loads of posters around of it. and it said Basteln steht in Kopf or something. So I do speak German, but I'm not fluent in German, so sometimes my grammar's wrong and I use the wrong words for things. But it's got a list of all the people and everything that they were selling, which is crazy. But I will talk about Kreativwelt in the bit. Oh, Basteln. Oh, nicht alles Basteln in Kopf. There we go. And they were already talking about 2017. Crumbs. Anyway, I went to Kreativwelt with my boyfriend because it was in Frankfurt last weekend, and I was looking around, and and there wasn't that many yarn stalls, which was really sad, but once again, I'll talk about that in the miscellaneous section. But I did find some yarn because, you know, if you're a knitter or a crocheter or just a yarn collector, it's kind of like a radar. You're just like, oh, it's miles away over there, behind God knows how many things. I can just sense it. You can just spot it from a mile off. So I did. I may have bought some yarn, and I'm not sorry about it. So this yarn is by Das Mondschaf, who hand dyes. It means the moon sheep, which is pretty cute. This colour, so she didn't, bless her, she didn't put the colour on the label itself, so I had to look it up when the shop reopened. So this is Vollmondnacht, which is like a night of the full moon, or full moon night, Vollmondnacht. And it's this beautiful teal colour. It's got some speckles in it. It's got a bit of yellowy colour up here. It's stunning, and I can see why it's named Full Moon Night, because it's got like the lights and the darks, and I'm just always drawn to this kind of colour. This speckly bit is everything. Come on, focus. Come on, camera, do your job. Here we go. And it's super soft and squishy. Like I say, the contrast between this yarn and this yarn is incredible. So this is also 25% wool, 75% wool, sorry, and 25% polyamide. It is it's merino wool, it's Sockenwolle, it's 420 meters per 100 grams. This is 100 grams. And then to go along with it. So on the label I got really excited because it said it was dyed in Oberursel, which is close to Frankfurt, and I was just like, oh, local yarn. And then I went on her website. It turns out she's moved to Usingen, so it's not as local. But this is the colour I went to go with it. So this colour is Hokkaido, which is a Japanese island. I looked it up. And obviously this is the colourway inspired by that. Once again, 75-25, merino wool and polyamide. And I just thought they went beautifully together. This is not a colour I would usually go for, ever. I don't quite know what's happening to me, but this isn't a yarn I would ever usually opt for. But it's so pretty. And I just saw these two together and just thought, yeah, basically. So I want to make a shawl out of these. They're fingering weight, sock yarn. I want to make a shawl, but I don't know what shawl to make. So I am very open to suggestions. I'm a relatively new knitter. Well, I say relatively new. I'm not. I'm just not a very confident knitter. So something beautiful with these. I've got a few options and I can't remember, I didn't write any of them down, so that was really useful. But yeah, I probably won't have a Fattening Up My Stash section every time because I don't currently have the finances for it, but I couldn't resist. These are dyed by Sabrina Gleis, and she, yeah, like I say, she lives in Usingen. She has an online shop. Yarn is very reasonable for hand-dyed yarn, and I really like it. So next we have Dream Knits / yarns / things I want, and she's just chilling in the background over there. Hope that's not too distracting. So one of the things that I really want to do in 2017, because let's face it, I'm not going to have time with all this Christmas knitting I have to do, and I've got people visiting to see Christmas markets and God knows what. I'm not gonna have time to start now. But I really want to knit a sweater / jumper. Just something easy, something that isn't too challenging. I just feel like it's something I have to do at some point, so I need to get on and do it, you know? Does that make sense? So if anyone has any sweater suggestions or cardigan suggestions, that would be great. And I think maybe I just need to just find one and force myself out of my comfort zone, because I also want to try cables at some point. And I found this really cute cable pattern that was free all day yesterday, and I saved it because that's what you're meant to do. And it's a really nice cable jumper, pullover jumper, whatevs. So if anyone has any suggestions on any jumpers that I could knit, that would be grand. Also, I followed a lady on Instagram a while ago, and then she started posting these incredible project bags that were in her shop, and I was very close to buying them, but then I realised that I was going to Kreativfeld the next day, the day after she updated the shop, so I was just like, I can't. But it's the Yarn Parlour, and she has ice cream project bags. Well, they're project bags that look like ice cream, and I was just like, well, I really want one of them. She's in Israel, so shipping costs aren't too extortionate like they would be if she was from the US. I just need to, maybe after Christmas, I will treat myself, because I need to stop spending money on yarn and start spending money on Christmas presents and making Christmas presents and yarn for Christmas presents. But she's got amazing kits as well, which have some hand-dyed yarn. So for example, she's got like a mint choc chip bag with mint choc chip inspired yarn, and she has this amazing popcorn project bag that looks like a tub of popcorn, and I was just like, this is amazing. And I was very close to getting one of those popcorn project bags, and then I went and thought, I'll go and think about it, and then when I came back, they were sold out. So that's what you get for thinking about things. I just shouldn't do it. The other yarn that I'm currently coveting is Countess Ablaze yarn. So my friend Ash over at Hook and Light / Trick of the Stitch, who is currently having a crochet along, if anyone wants to get involved in that, she let me know about Countess Ablaze because I think I was complaining about shipping costs of hand-dyed yarn in the US, and Countess Ablaze is in Manchester in England, so treat. At some point when I'm in Manchester, I'm going to go and visit and buy some yarn, because it is stunning. If you just like looking at pretty yarn on Instagram, I much recommend going and checking out their Instagram page, because it's awe-inspiring. The colours that they come up with is incredible. And then finally, oh no, not finally, I want to get some new DPNs, as I've already mentioned. These are kind of crummy and crappy and just cheap, I think. I mean, they do the job, they're working well. I've made 2.5 pairs, well, technically 3 pairs of socks, plus this little bit on them. So they're working, they're functioning. Just sometimes it's time to grow up and level up with your needles. And then, oh, and I also want some really nice circular interchangeable needles at some point. One day. Oh, it's not 12 o'clock yet. Good. I live really near Frankfurt Dom, which is a cathedral, but it's not actually a cathedral, it's just a big church. Very amusing. So if you hear bells, that's why, but it's 11:45, I'm safe. So the other project I want to make that I've seen a lot of people make is the exploration station. I wanna jump on that bandwagon by Stephen West. I saw that Kristen and Laura did Kristen from the Younggasm podcast and Laura from Dyer's Notebook podcast did a exploration station along. And I'm a bit jealous. I wish I'd got involved, and ooh, messing that up. There we go. I wish I'd got involved, but I haven't. So I need to find some colours for that, and my boyfriend asked what he could get me for Christmas, and I said, if you could get me the yarn for that project, that would be the greatest thing ever, and I could start it in 2017. But yeah, so that is current dream knits and yarns. I don't know if I'd be able to do the exploration station, but I have knitting friends who I'm sure will help me out. I'm looking at you, Becky and Virginia. Hopefully you'll help me out. And then, speaking of Becky, we are moving on to podcaster recommendations. And I'm only going to do a few because obviously this is my first podcast. So I don't want to be like, you need to watch all of these people and be a bit mental. Sorry that my mood's been a bit down today. Ill. So the first podcast I recommend is the Potter and Bloom podcast, who is hosted by Emma. It's a predominantly crochet podcast. I'm sure you know who Potter and Bloom is. And she also runs the Crochet Girl Gang Instagram page, which is ace. But Emma is a crochet designer, which first off, amazing. And it's nice to have a crochet podcast in amongst all of the knitting podcasts, you know. But she has also started to knit and has recently finished her first pair of socks, so congratulations, Emma. I feel like we're on like level pegging with our knitting abilities, although you've also knitted a baby cardigan, so you might be one up. But yeah, like she's going to be watching this. But yeah, so I recommend the Potter and Bloom podcast. And if you go on over, tell her I sent you, because that would be cool. And then the other one is the Yarngasm podcast, who is the first podcast I started watching. And the reason I started watching her is because I made a unicorn pin, which I sell in my Etsy shop if you're interested. A beadwork unicorn pin. And one of my friends said that Kristen, who hosts the Yarngasm podcast, was having a unicorn along. And she thought it was a make along. So said, oh, you can enter it. But it was actually a knit along, so that's where I crocheted this little unicorn here. And then I just started a bit obsessively watching her podcasts, to the point where I've watched most back episodes as well. It's a little bit sad and a little bit stalkerish, and I would apologise, but they're just very entertaining. And because I currently don't have a job, a traditional job, I work from home. I am self-employed. YouTube is my job at the moment, and my Etsy shop. So I like to have podcasts on to keep me company, and hers is a knitting, spinning, sewing, and she also hand dyes yarn, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's someone else. And then the last one I'm suggesting today is the Stringing It Together podcast, which is also a knitting podcast hosted by Becky, who I earlier mentioned, who turns out is one of my neighbours, which is pretty cool. Like, she lives just, I come out of my front door and can see her front door, so that's pretty cool. But yes, she makes really awesome projects, like awe-inspiring projects. Like, she tackles big projects, which is quite, yeah. She wore a scarf/shawl to knit night on Monday, which she said took her like 2 or 3 months of monogamous knitting, which was all brioche and looked incredible. And I really want to make one now. Like, really want to make one now, just because it was huge and looked so snuggly and warm. I really want to make one. But yes, I've popped links to all of their channels in the description box of this video. They're all just podcasting channels. They're not like my channel where you get podcasts. Now you get podcasts and also craft tutorials. They are strictly, I believe. Oh no, Potter and Bloom sometimes does crochet tutorials as well. But yes. Finally, we're moving on to Miscellaneous. So if you're not interested in this, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And I can't believe I've managed to speak for this long so far. I'll try and wrap it up pretty quickly. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy it. Head on over to the Ravelry group if you want to join in the chats and all of that fun stuff. But if you want to carry on watching, find out a little bit about, you know, what's been going on these past couple of weeks, feel free to stay tuned. And also my YouTube channel, I'm going to talk about a little bit on what's been going on there. So first off, I'm going to talk about Craftea, which is this bad boy where I bought that yarn from. I was super excited to go, I'm not going to lie. I was thinking, so I really want to start dyeing yarn because it looks fun. It looks intimidating as hell, but also looks fun. So I really want to start dyeing yarn. And I've got a great business idea for it. And all of this. And I was thinking, you know what? If they sell at this craft fair, if they sell undyed yarn and acid dyes, then I will buy a few and I'll have no excuse. But did they? No. This craft fair was predominantly for people who do like scrapbooking, card making, hardcore jewelry making. I know I do jewelry making, but I do more like, I use one kind of bead. I don't use a wide variety of beads, which keeps my stash containable in that little thing over here. And also it's kind of growing, so it's not just in that little thing over there. But it keeps the stash containable. And I bought a few charms, but not really anything to write home about. But yeah. So I didn't end up, it was, first off, it was 10 euros to get in, which I think is pretty expensive. It was packed. It was so busy in there. It was so noisy in there. There were so many people in there. And I don't really like crowds of people and a lot of noise and all of this. I don't understand how people can think of ideas and projects and things to do in that kind of environment, because it just stresses me out. So I was looking at all of these beautiful beads and I couldn't think of anything to do with them because there was just so much going on. My brain was just a bit frazzled and distracted, and I was just a bit like, there's quite a few people around. I was anxious, for lack of a better word. But I'm glad I went because I got that really beautiful wool, and that shop is amazing. And I was so tempted to buy some Drachenwolle, mainly because of the name, which says a lot about a business name. It means dragon wool, which is awesome. But this yarn was softer, and I was looking for some DPNs there, but I wanted to get some carbons, but 2.5mm carbons had sold out. Even though I went pretty early in the day, but it's because the Craftea had started on the Thursday and I went on the Saturday, so that was my fault. But yeah, it was really good. There were lots of things to look at and walk around, and it was, oh, and great as well if you did sewing, because it had so much fabric there. But like I said, it just maybe wasn't 100% my kind of thing. I really want to go to a yarn festival. There's talks of the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I think that was called. So that might happen in March, but we shall see. Yeah, other than that, I went out Saturday night for my friend's birthday, which is where this cold came from. We ended up sat outside for a bit, smoking shisha, as you do. And I clearly caught something and as I woke up and felt terrible. So cold weather and tobacco, not a great combination. Just like to point out, I never usually smoke. I think this is the first time I've ever smoked shisha, and possibly the last. I'm alright with never having that in my lungs again. It was cherry flavoured and it was quite delicious, but I'm alright to not ever do it again. You know, you gotta try these things. But yeah, so that's why I'm ill. I'm meeting up with a friend in a couple of hours. And we are going to go and get some apple wine, and that should be good fun. I wore my Doc Martens yesterday, which was a mistake because now I have holes in my ankles from where they rubbed me. But yeah, other than that, I'm just working on Christmas presents like nobody's business. Playing Dungeons and Dragons on occasion. Let me know if you liked this podcast thing. It'll be ace. So, okay, sorry, last section, Corner of Craft YouTube. Just what videos I've been posting the last couple of weeks. So for those of you who don't watch my other videos and haven't seen my other videos, I changed my hair colour a couple of weeks ago. I washed it today, so it's still a bit damp. The roots are kind of looking a bit greenish, which is weird because they're not. But I dyed it like black up here, then like midnight blue. The ends are meant to be purple, but that obviously didn't happen. I've had a lot of people say that this is my favourite hair colour this is their favourite hair colour that they've ever seen me have, which is pretty cool. But, so I posted a video on that. And then I also posted a video last Sunday for a really, really simple beaded bead necklace. Really simple, perfect for beginners, perfect for last minute Christmas presents. You can use any size of bead, well, upwards of 4mm, but also fine. And it just whips up really easily, really quickly. And I didn't, so I was out on Saturday, like I said, I didn't tie up one of my, I was wearing this necklace, I didn't tie up one of the ends on the beads enough, so it kind of fell apart, but hey, that's my mistake. The other two were fine. But yes, that's all from today's podcast, which seems to have gone on forever. If you did enjoy this or have any suggestions of names or anything that you'd like to see, anything different you'd like to see, please let me know. Leave me a comment down below or write it in the Ravelry group podcast, Crafty Chat podcast group. Just search for that. And yes, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Your support means the world to me. And feel free to hit subscribe. I post a new craft tutorial every Sunday. You get a podcast every 2 weeks. And then on the Thursdays in between, you get a different video. So that's exciting. Yes, let me know if there's any suggestions that you have for projects that you want me or you suggest for me to make with this beautiful yarn. Ah! It's just so cute. I just want to like smush it in my face. You're going to see quite a few socks coming up in the next few episodes, so sorry about that. I have Christmas presents to make. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching and supporting me and all of that. And I've been talking for far too long, so I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in Sunday's video. Bye!